So you've put in the hours, right? Years studying English, the grammar, the vocabulary. Maybe you've even aced some tests.
Uh-huh.
And then you try listening to someone who actually grew up speaking
No,
it.
it just goes right past you.
Exactly. It sounds like this total blur.
Yeah.
Fast, messy. Sometimes it feels, well, impossible to follow.
Yeah, that's a really, really common feeling. Believe me, you're not alone there. It's probably one of the biggest frustrations learners face.
It really is. You think you've
Yeah.
got the basics, but then the real world hits.
Right. You've built this foundation, but understanding actual spoken conversation, that's a whole different skill.
Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to get into today. We want to unpack why understanding native English speakers can be such a challenge.
And more importantly, give you some, concrete steps, things you can actually do to get better at it.
Good. So the mission for this deep dive is basically twofold.
Pretty much. First, let's look at the reason, speed, the way words blend, slang, accents, all that stuff. And then the practical side. Tips and strategies you can start using, like today, to actually improve your listening.
Perfect. So you mentioned grammar and vocab aren't the whole picture. What's the big difference between knowing the rules and, say, following a chat about someone's weekend?
Well, like you said, grammar and vocabulary are crucial. That's your bedrock, definitely. But real spoken English, it adds layers.
Layers.
Yeah, think of it like music. Knowing the notes is one thing. Understanding a whole symphony with its rhythm, its speed, how the instruments blend, that's another level. Spoken language has its own kind of music.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So let's break down those layers. What makes real-world spoken English so different from, the audio drills and textbooks?
Well, one of the biggest things is just speed. Native speakers often talk, pretty fast. And they blend words together.
Blend them.
Yeah, we don't usually say every single sound perfectly clearly, There's a flow. Words run into each other. It's called connected speech. So instead of saying very distinctly, I am going to go, you'll almost always hear,
I'm gonna go.
exactly, I'm going to go. The words just kind of melt together.
Right, like verbal shortcuts. And it's not just the speed and blending, is it? There's all the informal stuff, too.
Oh, absolutely. That's another huge layer. Slang, for starters. Those
Right.
informal words you don't find in dictionaries.
Right.
Then idioms expressions where the meaning isn't literal, like break a leg.
Doesn't mean actually break your leg.
Hopefully not. And contractions, of course. Can't. We use them constantly. If you haven't learned them specifically, they can really trip you up.
And then there's the accent issue. English sounds so different depending on where you are.
Totally. Think about American English versus British English versus Australian.
Or even within one country. Someone from Texas sounds different from someone from Boston.
Precisely. That variety of accents and dialects is a major factor. Your ear might get used to one type, and then hearing another can feel like starting over almost.
Mm-hmm.
In that connected speech we mentioned, it can sound even more, squished depending on the accent.
Okay, so it's definitely not just you. It's the speed, the blending, the slang, the idioms, the accents. Wow, it's a lot.
It is. It's a complex mix.
All right, now that we know why it's so tricky, let's talk solutions. What can you actually do? Let's unpack this.
Okay, step one, and this is crucial. You need to listen to real conversations.
Move beyond the slow, super clear textbook audio, you mean?
Exactly that. Textbook audio has its place, especially early on, but it's often too perfect, too slow. It doesn't sound like people actually talk.
So what kind of real stuff should you listen to?
Podcasts are great, especially conversational ones. YouTube videos where people are just chatting, being natural, even just eavesdropping carefully on conversations around you if you get the chance.
But when you first start, it might still sound like that blur, right? Should you try to catch every single word?
No, definitely not at first. That'll just lead to frustration. The initial goal isn't 100% comprehension.
Okay, so what is the goal then?
Focus on the main idea. What's the general topic?
Right.
What's the overall feeling? Try to catch the rhythm, the flow. If you only pick out a few key words or phrases, that's okay. That's a win.
And it's okay to rewind.
Absolutely. Rewind, listen again. Think of it like training your ear, literally exercising your listening muscles.
Got it. Focus on the big picture, train the ear. What's tip number 2?
Tip 2 builds on that. Get familiar with different accents. We talked about how much variety there is.
Right. American, British, Australian, and so on. It can be overwhelming. Where do you even start?
A good strategy is to pick one accent to focus on first. Maybe it's the one you hear most often, or the one used where you want to work or study, or just one you find interesting.
Okay, focus on one, then what?
Then immerse yourself in content with that accent. Watch TV series, movies, listen to podcasts featuring speakers with that accent. You can even try repeating phrases you hear that helps tune your ear, too.
So you're kind of calibrating your brain to that specific sound.
Exactly. Over time, your brain will adapt. It starts recognizing the patterns, the specific sounds, the intonation. It gets easier.
Makes sense. Okay, what's our third strategy?
Tip number 3, focus on the key words. Don't panic about catching every single word in a sentence.
Oh, that's a relief. Because it's so easy to get stuck on one word you missed and then lose the whole thread.
It really is. But here's the thing. Native speakers often swallow or shorten the small words. Articles like a, the, prepositions like in, on, little helping verbs like is or are.
They don't always hit those hard.
Not always. The main meaning usually lies in the content words. The nouns like groceries, car, job, the main verbs go, buy, speak, the adjectives delicious, tired, expensive.
So train yourself to latch on to those bigger words.
Yes, try to pick out those key pieces. You can often understand the main message even if some smaller words fly by. It's about prioritizing what you listen for.
Right, focusing your listening energy effectively. Okay, tip 4. Let's talk subtitles. Helpful tool or maybe a crutch?
Both, potentially. Which is why tip 4 is use subtitles wisely. They can be great, but you don't want to become totally dependent on them.
So what's the smart way to use them?
Well, you could start with subtitles in your own language just to get the basic plot or context.
Okay.
Then definitely switch to English subtitles. That helps you connect the sounds you're hearing with the words on the screen. Really powerful for learning.
But the ultimate goal is?
To challenge yourself, try watching without any subtitles sometimes. Even for short periods. You might be surprised how much you actually pick up just from listening.
Your brain fills in the gaps sometimes.
It does. Oh, and a little bonus tip here. Pick stuff you actually enjoy watching or listening to. Motivation is huge. If you like the show, you'll naturally pay more attention.
Absolutely. Learning shouldn't feel like a chore if you can help it.
Okay,
what's tip number 5? Another technique.
Yes, tip 5 is about breaking speech down into chunks. Long sentences can feel like this overwhelming stream of sound.
Yeah, like one long run-on sentence sometimes.
Exactly. So consciously try to mentally divide what you hear into smaller pieces, manageable chunks.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of trying to process, I went to the store yesterday because I needed milk and eggs, and then I met my friend and we got some coffee all at once.
Uh-huh.
Try hearing it as, I went to the store, pause, then I needed milk and eggs, pause, and I met my friend, pause, and we got some coffee.
Ah, okay. Break it down mentally.
Yes. You can even practice by pausing recordings after each little chunk and maybe repeating it quietly. It helps your brain process faster without getting overloaded.
Makes it seem much less daunting. Like eating an elephant one bite at a time. Sort of.
Kind of. Okay, tip number 6 involves a technique called shadowing. Heard of that?
I think so, but maybe explain it for everyone.
Sure. Shadowing is basically copying or mimicking a native speaker almost immediately after you hear them.
Okay, how does that work in practice?
You pick a short clip, maybe just one sentence to start, play it. Then you immediately try to repeat it exactly as you heard it.
So, copying the pronunciation, the speed.
Exactly. The tone, the rhythm, where they put the stress on words. You're trying to be their echo, their shadow.
What's the benefit of doing that?
It's fantastic for both listening and speaking. It forces you to listen really intently to catch all those nuances so you can repeat them, and it naturally improves your own pronunciation and fluency. Plus, it can actually be kind of fun.
Sounds like a very active way to learn. I like it. Okay, tip number 7.
Tip 7 is about using context. Don't stop the conversation, real or watched, just because you hit one word you don't know.
Which is bound to happen, right?
Absolutely. It happens all the time. But the key is not to let it derail you. Instead, try to use the clues around that word.
Context clues. Like what?
Like the overall topic. What's being discussed? What's the situation? If you can see the person, what's their body language saying? Often, these clues give you enough information to guess the meaning, or at least get the gist.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, say someone says, I'm starving, I'm going to grab a bite. Maybe you don't know, grab a bite. But you heard starving, and the context is probably around lunchtime or dinner time. You can probably figure out, grab a bite means get something to eat.
So play detective a little bit. Use the surrounding information.
Precisely. Infer the meaning. Keep the flow going rather than getting stuck.
Great skill to develop.
I don't know.
Okay, we're moving on nicely. Tip number 8.
Tip 8 is about expanding your vocabulary, but doing it the smart way for listening.
Meaning. not just memorizing random word lists from the dictionary.
Exactly. Rote memorization of isolated words doesn't always help that much with understanding fast, natural speech.
So what kind of vocabulary should you focus on?
Focus on vocabulary you're likely to actually hear. So common daily stuff, food, work, shopping, hobbies. Also really important, collocation.
Allocations.
Yeah, words that naturally go together. Like you don't just do a decision, you make a decision. You don't do a break, you take a break. Knowing these common pairings helps a lot.
Oh, okay. Word partnerships.
Right. And also, learn common slang and idioms. Things like break the ice or call it a day. The more real-world language you know, the less that gets past you when you listen.
Makes total sense. Learn the language people actually use.
Yeah.
What's tip number 9?
Tip 9. Train with different types of audio. Mix it up. Don't just listen to one thing.
Variety keeps things fresh.
It does, but it also trains your ear in different ways. Each type has benefits.
Like what?
Well, podcasts often give you that natural back and forth conversation. News reports tend to be more formal, maybe clearer pronunciation, good for structure.
Yep.
YouTube is amazing for casual language, slang, different accents. TED Talks often have very clear speakers talking about complex ideas, good for vocabulary, and focused listening.
So exposing your ear to different styles makes you more adaptable.
Yeah, exactly. It's like cross-training for your listening skills. You get better at handling whatever comes your way.
Good analogy. All right, we're nearing the end of the main tips. What's number 10?
Our 10th tip is keep a listening journal. This is a really practical way to capture what you're learning.
A journal specifically for listening. What goes in it?
Whenever you hear a new word or phrase you don't understand, write it down. But don't just write the word. Note the situation. Where did you hear it? What was the context?
Sure.
Then write down what you thought it might mean, your guess. And then look up the actual meaning and write that down too.
Why the guess part?
It makes you engage more actively. And finally, try to use that new word or phrase in your own sentence. That really helps cement it in your memory.
So you're actively processing the new language, not just passively noting.
Exactly. Turning confusion into a learning moment.
Love that. Okay, 10 great tips. And I think you had a bonus one for us too.
Yes. Bonus tip. Use technology to your advantage. There are so many amazing tools out there now.
Like what kind of tech?
Well, language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem let you actually talk to native speakers. Great for practice. Platforms like YouTube or the TED app often have built-in subtitles you can turn on or off easily, perfect for the subtitle strategy we talked about.
Right.
And then there are flashcard apps like Anki, Memrise, Quizlet, brilliant for saving those new words from your listening journal and reviewing them regularly.
And tech often lets you control the speed, right? Slow things down if you need to.
Absolutely. Pause, rewind, slow down playback speed. Technology puts a lot of control in your hands. Use it.
Fantastic. So many great strategies there. That should really give people a solid plan.
Yeah, the key thing to remember is that this is a journey. It takes time. It takes patience. You will have days where you feel stuck.
That's totally normal, isn't it?
Completely normal. The most important thing is just consistency. Keep practicing. Keep exposing yourself to the language.
And celebrate the small wins, maybe.
Definitely. Even if you feel like you only understood 10% more today than yesterday, celebrate it. That's progress. You are improving, even when it doesn't always feel like it. You're doing great.
That's really encouraging. Okay, so to help you get started right away, we've got a little challenge for you this week.
Yeah, try this. Find a short English video clip, maybe just a few minutes long. Watch it once without any subtitles at all.
Okay, just listen.
Then pick just 1 minute of that clip and try shadowing it, repeating along once a day.
Just 1 minute a day.
It's just 1 minute. And throughout the week, try to catch and write down maybe 5 new words or phrases you hear, maybe in that listening journal.
Okay, so watch without subs, shadow 1 minute daily, list 5 new words.
Try doing that for 7 days. Just 7 days. See how you feel afterwards. We bet you'll notice a difference.
Great challenge. And looking ahead, our next deep dive is going to flip things around a bit. We'll be talking about how to make your spoken English sound more natural.
Yeah, how to improve your own flow and rhythm when you speak.
So definitely make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that one. Thanks again for joining us for this deep dive.
Keep listening. You've got this.